At the beginning of the story, a voice is explaining a dream of a child where the Earth is being approached by a new unknown planet that is red in color. Soon, the planet comes so close to the Earth that it starts depleting the resources of the Earth with its magnetic field. Only one person can save the Earth out of its depleting resources by destroying the red planet, and that one person disappears in the child's dream. The scene shifts to reality where the dream was not just a dream, as it turned out that the future suffered the same fate, and everything on Earth is now in rubble, with the red planet clearly visible in the sky as it is so close to the Earth. In this barren land, a lone man is trying to run away from something, and he hears a little child's delusional voice telling him to run and destroy the unknown planet. Out of curiosity, he looks around, but no one else is there. He realizes that the voice is just in his head, echoing in his mind. The man's name is Paul, and as he walks, he reaches a settlement of humans. It is revealed that when Earth's resources began to deplete, countries, in hopes of gathering maximum resources, resorted to war against each other. Therefore, the higher-class humans working with the government built cities with high walls around them so that ordinary people could not enter. The military was also stationed everywhere, keeping an eye on everyone by using advanced military gadgets. Paul arrived at the settlement, which was populated near the high walls, and the military was keeping an eye on it. When Paul notices these military men with their drones and gadgets, he quickly tries to hide himself without getting noticed. Soon he bumps into a man, and in reply, the man says he's sorry. Then Paul asks the man about where he could find some supplies here. The man takes Paul to his place and shows him a vehicle, as Paul needs one for his journey. The story is set in the future, so the cars of this era don't drive on tires but hover in the air. The man, in hopes of doing business with him, sells the car to Paul. A drone notices Paul while buying the car and scans him for identification. These drones also work for the government. The military and the government are trying to find Paul as he is very unique because he is the only one who can save Earth by destroying the red planet. For years ago, Paul's father, Henry, being a great scientist of this era, thought of a plan to use the magnetic fields of the red planet to extract energy, but soon the red planet did the reverse and came too close to the Earth and began extracting resources from the Earth instead. In hopes of destroying the red planet, Henry sent multiple rockets, but none was able to pass through its magnetic field except Paul himself. Paul felt a deep connection with the red planet and believed that it was alive and didn't want to destroy it, but Henry kept forcing him. So he disappeared and went missing. Therefore, the government is trying to find him before everything gets destroyed. Paul takes the car and drives it away from the settlement, but soon the car stops by itself. Paul opens the trunk to check what's wrong with the car, and he finds the power cell of the car which is damaged, revealing that he was deceived by the man who sold the car to him. Soon, the military drone following him appears in front of him and scans his face to confirm his identity as Paul. After the scan, the drone tries to fly away to report the whereabouts of Paul to the government, but Paul has a gun which he uses to shoot at it and stop it before it gets further away. Paul drags the car to the store at some distance in hopes of finding a repair to the power cell of the car. Inside the store, he encounters Elma, who is managing this store, and inquires to her for the repairs. But Elma tells him that the power cell needs to be replaced, but they are short on power cells, so Paul has to wait for at least 3 days before one comes in. Hearing this, Paul replies that he doesn't have that much time, but Elma says that she cannot do anything about it. At that time, a piece of news appears on the TV in which the reporter reveals that the government has managed to invent a rocket named Aurora which they think is capable enough to pierce through the magnetic field of the red planet. The astronaut that is going on this mission is actually Paul's older brother Elliot. It is also revealed that this mission is also a project of Paul's father Henry, and the mission is scheduled to launch immediately. As soon as the rocket left the atmosphere of the Earth and entered into the magnetic field of the red planet, suddenly Elliot lost all control of the rocket, and the footage on the broadcast disconnected, depicting that the mission had failed, and with the rocket, Elliot had met his demise. The Earth's last hope was this mission, and now the destruction of the Earth is near, and humanity has lost all hope. Paul feels all sad and emotional after hearing the news of his brother's death. To cheer him up, Elma gives him a smiley face emoji badge. Paul leaves the store disappointed and starts thinking about his childhood times, when it is revealed in a flashback his mother was diagnosed with a disease and was very on the verge of death. His father was trying his best to save her, and when the red planet appeared, he assumed that the red planet's unique abilities may save her from this disease. In his childhood, Paul was very different from the rest of the kids, and he used to have strange dreams, thoughts, and hallucinations about the future, which was his unique ability of future sight. He also depicted all this occurring of the red planet. When his father decided to destroy the red planet after his mother's death, Paul tried tried to explain to him the future where everything would end if they tried to destroy the Red Planet, but Henry did not listen. Paul also used to see a green forest in this era where all the plants and animals had already died and there was nothing left out there, but he kept believing in his sighting. Since Paul was so different from everyone, therefore his brother Elliot never liked him a bit. Humanity has no hope, and everyone on Earth is awaiting their demise. Elma is thinking about her late mother when a piece of news pops up on the TV about Elliot being Paul's brother. She immediately assumes that the only person now who can save the Earth is Paul, so she grabs her gun and rushes out to find Paul, where she is approached by her father. Since it is the end of the world, he tries to apologize to Elma because he used to mistreat and beat her mother when she was alive, due to which Elma left her father. Elma listens to him, but without saying anything, she leaves out of anger and hate towards him. Elma then finds Paul and approaches him. Paul is trying to fix the car when Elma throws some canned food at him and tells him that she knows who he is and wants him to come with her, as he is the only one who can save everyone. But Paul refuses her idea and tells her to leave. Meanwhile, in a deserted land, some kids are playing when suddenly something from the sky crashes to the ground. The children rush to look at it and find a pod containing a human body. It is actually Elliot who has somehow survived the failed mission. Elliot is brought back to the lab where he meets his father Henry. Henry apologizes to Elliot for the failure of the mission and inquires him how he survived the strong magnetic field of the Red Planet. Elliot replies that when he made it close to the Red Planet and was inside the magnetic field, he was dead for several hours until some unknown power revived him, and now his DNA has also changed. Meanwhile, Paul is busy fixing his car in the desert. Elma is watching him from a distance. Suddenly, soldiers show up to capture Paul, but somehow he escapes from them and hides. Before the evening, Elma's father enters her trailer and starts setting it on fire. When Elma returns to her trailer, she's heartbroken to see it on fire, destroying everything she owns. She starts crying a lot, but her father doesn't care because he's a bad person. The next day, Elliot's brother arrives at the place because someone told him about Paul's whereabouts. Elliot is here to find Paul in hopes of finishing his father's mission. Elma's father is there, so Elliot questions him. Since Elliot came back, he gained some strange powers like reading minds and controlling people. He reads his mind, revealing that Elma's father doesn't know anything about Paul, so Elliot forces him to kill himself with the gun he is holding. Elma screams and runs away after seeing her father's death. Elliot doesn't chase her. Instead, he sends a spider-like robot after her. Paul sees Elma crying and comes to her in his car. Elma asks him to take her with him. Paul agrees, and Elma explains she's running away to find her mother. Paul's goal is to find the jungle he saw in his dreams, believed to be somewhere out there. The military is now searching everywhere to find Paul. Paul, while driving, needs to pass a checkpoint ahead to leave the area. So instead of Paul, Elma sits in the driver's seat to encounter the checkpoint soldier, and Paul hides behind the car. They both cleverly cross the checkpoint. They then arrive at a diner where Paul needs to make an important call and explain something to his father over the telephone, but his father still isn't ready to believe him. He tells Paul to come back and complete his mission, but then the soldier arrives to catch Paul. Paul fights the soldier, who wears a steel suit, making it very difficult to fight back. Elma tries to save him and points a gun at the soldier, and the soldier turns, giving Paul a chance to attack the soldier's head. They both immediately leave from there. Elliot's spider robot is still chasing them, which makes Elliot aware of their location. During the journey, Paul tells Elma his story about learning about the future and trying to convince his father many times, but his father never believes him. Elma changes Paul's hair color so nobody can recognize him, while Elliot follows them. He reaches the diner and questions the owner. Elliot senses her evil because she murdered her husband. Elliot compels her to end her own life with his power and then leaves to follow Paul and Elma, who are driving on a road. A dangerous storm of lightning and dust is approaching right in front of them. When Paul looks back, he sees someone following them. He also spots Elliot's spider robot in his car, which he destroys immediately. In this situation, they both drive the car into the storm. Once the tracking device is destroyed, Elliot can't find them. Paul and Elma take shelter in a building, and upon entering, they discover it's a theater displaying holographic footage of extinct animals on Earth. While looking at the footage, Elma asks if Paul has ever seen rain. He replies that he saw it once and found the sound of rain very soothing. Then, Paul sees a type of jungle in that footage, recognizing it as the same jungle he dreamed of as a child and was trying to find. He had always believed it existed somewhere, but now he realizes such a place doesn't exist. Until now, Paul thought his father was wrong and he was right, but now he starts to think that perhaps his dreams were just dreams. Shortly after, they are attacked by Elliot and the military. Stuck in this situation, Paul thinks of a plan. He brings Elma out as a host so that they won't shoot, but Elliot without hesitation shoots Elma. Seeing this, Paul quickly drags Elma inside the car and starts driving away as Elliot chases them. While being injured, Elma makes some changes in the car's motherboard, allowing them to fly higher, but Elliot approaches them from the front side, causing both cars to collide in the air. They all fall to the ground where Paul and Elliot stand face to face, and Paul points out his gun towards Elliot. Elliot tries to use his mind manipulation power to make Paul kill himself, but as Paul puts the gun on his head, he hears Elma's voice too. So instead of killing himself in the last moment, he shoots at Elliot and finishes him off. Paul takes Elma on her back and heads off for a safer place. While doing so, he stumbles upon the place where he had hidden his drawing book. He picks up the drawing book and looks at his childhood memories as well as his entire future. Soon the military arrives to capture him, and this time he surrenders himself. He makes a deal with his father that he will go on the mission to save Earth in exchange for Elma's treatment. After a few days, Paul sets out for the mission and sits in the rocket to head towards the Red Planet. Meanwhile, Elma's recovering after the treatment as she discovers Paul's book in her jacket. It's filled with drawings depicting his life and important moments. She gazes up at the sky, where Paul's rocket is heading for its destination. Paul believed that this planet retaliates when humans try to harm it, just as they are trying to destroy it now. Paul passes through the magnetic field of that planet in hopes of destroying it with nuclear weapons, but he changes his mind. Instead of harming the planet, he destroys his own rocket in the sky, sacrificing himself. Elma cries at the sight, but then something strange happens. The planet begins to move away from Earth. This proves Paul was right that if humans harm the planet, it will retaliate, but if humans do not attack, it will do the same and will go back. Paul's sacrifice ultimately saves humanity. On the last page of Paul's drawing book, Elma looks at a page that depicts a girl standing in the rain. Soon it started raining, revealing the girl drawn is Elma. And the movie also ends here. Don't go anywhere. Click the video on your screen to keep these wild movie recaps rolling. Smash that like button and subscribe for more insane movie adventures. I'll catch you film fanatics on the next one.